Hello, I'm Tim Hickey, and this is the RubeGoldbergGamekit demo. So what I want to show you today is how to create a Rube Goldberg kind of machine in Blender. And I'm just going to give you sort of the basics, and you should explore and play around with it. So what I've done here is given you a floor, a couple of balls, some dominoes, a cylinder, and a bowl. And you'll notice if I hit P for play, the sphere knocks over the dominoes, also makes that spinning teeter-totter spin, and puts a ball down through the cylinder. What you can do now is select items, move them, rotate them, and try to create some kind of a cascade of events. So let me give you a quick example. If I click on this element, say, and do View Selected, I'll zoom in. I can use the mouse wheel to zoom out a little bit. And let me shift right-click on each of these other ones. So now I've selected 4 elements. And if I do Shift D, that duplicates the selected items. And then I can just move them over with the mouse. Move them, say, right there. And A deselects everything, and P invokes the physics engine. So let's see what happens. Now I've got a, oops, why did that happen? Aha, you can see I didn't have them correctly aligned. So let me reselect those and change my view. Move it over a little bit. This should be better. Okay, so that's an example of moving the dominoes. Here, let me right-click on this sphere and Shift D to duplicate, make it, and move the mouse to make a copy, and I'll pull it over here. So the intent now is that these dominoes will all fall, and then knock over this one, which will then fall. Great. And now I want to have it fall off the edge and bounce on something. So let me click the floor, Shift D duplicate, move it, and then R to rotate, but I actually want to rotate around the Y-axis. So if I hit Y, see the Y-axis line is drawn? There. And let's have it bounce back and forth a few times. Oh, also notice the widget arrows are aligned with the coordinate system of the plane. Here, so up means up from the plane. That's because I have local selected. If I select global, then up means my up, which in some cases is better. Let me make another copy of that. So Shift D, duplicate, and then R, Y, whoops, R, Y to rotate, and move it over. Great, so what should happen is that this should bounce off here, come over, bounce off here, and fall down. Let me move this bowl in too. So if I do Shift D and grab, and then I have to change my view a little bit so I can see where it's going. That looks pretty good. Here we go. Okay. And I can also make this a little more interesting by, let's see, making several copies of this. So if I do Shift D up, 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 Shift D up. Great. So now let's go to the view camera. Oh, actually, I hit the T key which brought up the tool sidebar. And if I do Shift Space and P for play, I can now, this has a flying camera, so I can use the arrow keys and the WASD QE keys to change my view. Oh, look at that. Cool. And I can do Shift, it goes very fast. Shift forward arrow goes very quickly. Alright, so let's see if we can do a little bit more interesting stuff with this. So zoom out. Yes, let's have this, let's scale this one up so everything falls into it. So if I hit S for scale, I can make a big bowl. All those will fall into it. And great. And then also I could zoom in, make some more copies of this maybe. So let's do that. Let's do Shift D and make a copy over there. And put it underneath this. There we go. Is that in the right place? View from the top. Pretty close. Great. And now look like this, and I'm going to scale it to make it bigger. S scale. Down. Great. And move it over. Great. So this ought to do something interesting. And let's scale just in the X direction. Great. Now view from the camera. Let's see how this looks. View from the camera and zoom out a little bit. So you should always have the camera box about the same size as the window screen. P for play. And we drop down and see what's happening. Okay, so now I've got this gigantic bowl. With these little and they go right out the bottom. Might have been better to have a smaller hole down there at the bottom. Okay, anyway, so spend some time. Try not to have more than, say, 300 or 400 objects because Blender will get slow, and see what you can do. It's a good idea to make a screen recording of you flying the camera around the scene and post it up on YouTube and see what your friends think. Okay, so have fun.